Hi everyone.
Hi, Reem. Hi. So I'll make you co-host, yeah?
Yeah, sure, thank you.
And I presume you'll be introducing the speaker.
Yeah, I will.
Oh,
I have a quick question.
yeah.
So, like in the request, let's say from the presenter, she wants the participants to be able to unmute themselves and have the access to the chat and also enable the raise hand option. So, should I do this all after like her session, let's say in the Q&A part, or should I allow it like throughout the entire thing, let's say?
Um, it's okay. You can keep it enabled. I don't think there should be a problem. If there is, then you can mute everybody. But anyways, the chat is accessible all the time. It's just that the muting function,
Yeah,
yeah,
true.
it can stay open to them. If she wants them to unmute at any point, they can.
Okay, perfect. And there's also the raise hand feature, right?
Yeah. That's always there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Hi again. So I was going over the introduction, like what I should say. And the thing is, the name of the organization is written in, I think, Pakistani. So if any one of you knows it, the sustainable, and then like, so I don't mess up.
Could you repeat that, please? I didn't catch you.
Oh, yeah, sure. So in the introduction, the name of the company, or not the company, the organization is the Sustainable, and then it's written in Pakistani. So do you have any
Oh,
clue,
is it
or
written Pakistani?
I think
Okay, did
Pakistan?
you?
Because this is what I was
Okay,
told.
the speaker is here. So hi, Priyal.
Hi.
I think there's something to confirm in the intro. Apparently, there's something in a script other than English.
Um, I'm sorry, can you please repeat what you just said?
I think in the intro you sent, at least that's what the admin are telling me. There is something written in a script other than English.
No, I don't think so. I've submitted something in the intro which is in any other language except English.
Okay, Reem, could you check again, please?
It's just the name. So the Sustainable, and then there's something not in English.
Okay, do you want to share
Sure.
screen?
Yeah, sure, I'll do that. Just so I don't like say
Yeah,
something I'm
no
not
worries.
supposed to. This one.
Which one?
This one here.
Oh, that's not Pakistani, that's Hindi.
Oh, sorry. So sorry, so sorry. I feel like I offended someone. So sorry, I did not mean to.
No, that's absolutely fine. But if you want me to help you pronounce it, or the speaker to help you pronounce it.
Sorry, but I think that is not something that I have submitted. I don't know if any other team member from MU and Impact might have added it, but this is not something that I submitted myself.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
okay, so okay. My apologies for that. Someone who must have sent the intro must have.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that you can share screen.
Yeah, I'll just make a co-host.
Okay, good.
Uh, I'm sorry, did you ask me to share my screen?
Okay.
All right, great. We can see it. All
Perfect.
good.
Thank you.
Just give it a few more minutes. Reem, you can start at around 5 minutes
I,
in.
okay, sure. Hi everyone. Please make sure that all cameras are turned off and everyone is muted. Thank you. Hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us in today's session. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce myself. Hi, my name is Reem Al and I'll be one of your admins for today's session. Today with us we have Priyal Jain. So she's the founder and presenter of the Sustainable. The organization was established on August 1st this year. Priyal had her team has been working dedicatedly since then to spread the awareness on SDGs 13, 14, and 15. So, in this workshop, Priyal will be talking about climate change. She'll be sharing some interesting ways in which we can help curb climate change individually. She'll also be sharing her MUN journey and how you can get involved with the organization. There's a lot more in store for you in this workshop. So, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box or raise your hand virtually. Thank you, everyone. Priyal, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. I hope that I am visible and audible. Um, First of all, I'd like to go ahead and introduce myself. I am Priyal Agrawal, and I'm a high school student from India. Today, I will be conducting a work, and I'm sorry for a wrong introduction that was read right now. I'll be giving a more accurate introduction about the workshop that we will be having today. The title of the workshop is How Can You Launch a Social Enterprise in Just a Month? And we will be looking at the complete process of building a social enterprise. And we'll also explore crucial questions such as how to secure funding and what are the difficulties that we generally face and how to tackle them. Now I will be going ahead and sharing my screen so that you all can see the presentation and have fun. I hope that everyone can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay. Um, Thank you so much for coming here today. And this is the very first workshop of the second day of our summit. And the title of this workshop is How to Launch a Social Enterprise in a Month. And your presenter today is Priyal Agrawal, and a brief introduction about myself before I start with the presentation. I'm a high school student from India, and I built a social enterprise stance in a month to improve civic education in my community and received $1,000 funding for the project. As far as my hobbies are concerned, reading and dancing are my escape, and book recommendations are always welcome. A brief introduction about the enterprise that I started. And we will be going into much more details as we go through this workshop so that you're able to understand each and every step through which I implemented this process. STANCE is a social enterprise that is aimed at encouraging civic and democratic participation by young people in my country, India. We do so by giving access to our mobile app and offering workshops, courses, and other activities in my country. We secured $1,000 funding for our initiative, and we plan to use it to expand our enterprise to other cities by engaging more volunteers and partnering with different organizations. This was just an overview. We will look into the details of it in the later parts of the workshop. So before we jump into the workshop, I would like to introduce you all to the things that we will cover in this workshop. Firstly, we will be seeing a complete roadmap for building a social enterprise. I will take you through every step in much detail, and I assure you that by the end of the workshop, you will be confident enough to implement your own idea. Then we will look at the various options that are available to us so that we can secure funding for our enterprise. And finally, we will be having a Q&A and chat session. So in between the workshop, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat so that by the end of the workshop, we can compile all those and answer these questions. One thing that I would like to clarify from the beginning is that please be interactive, because there's a lot of fun and learning coming up. And I don't want this presentation to be boring. Rather, I want it to be a dialogue between the audience and the presenter so that we can learn and have fun together. Let us first see which SDGs is this workshop related to. It is in a broad sense, it is connected to the SDG 4, which talks about ensuring equitable access to quality education. And more specifically speaking, this workshop is related to SDG 4.4, which talks about capacity building of youth for jobs and entrepreneurship, and SDG 4.7, which talks about providing training and education to learners for promotion of SDGs. Now, before we see and go any further into the workshop and see how we can build a social enterprise, let us first define what a social enterprise is. And before I even present my own definition or the generally accepted definition, I would like my audience to put their perspectives in the chat so that we can build a definition together. You can answer, you can just answer in a word, in a phrase, or in a sentence, whatever you feel like. And it just has to describe your perspective about what a social enterprise is. Okay, Sadhika has answered that a sustainable enterprise is a business that works towards social change. And I'd like to tell you that this is absolutely correct. And we are looking for some more responses. And Sadhika also adds that it often involves a non-profit organization. Marian has said that it is a company which works towards improving societal welfare. And this is also absolutely correct. Work that helps the society, true. A business that has specific social objective, true. Community service through an organization or NGO. Absolutely correct. All of these answers are absolutely correct. And the reason why I say this, because a social enterprise has a very broad definition, and a social enterprise has a very broad definition, and whatever you all have put in is absolutely correct. Now let us see how what kind of general definition do we generally have in case of a social enterprise. A social enterprise solves a social issue, and this is what the definition of the social enterprise is, nothing elaborate. And some of you have pointed out that social enterprises um, are generally non-profits, and this is partially true because social enterprises can also be for-profits or non-profits. They can be local or global, meaning that they can be just concentrated, or your target audience can just be concentrated in a city, or you might have a target audience which is spread across different cities, states, or even countries. And they can be product based or service based. And we have got one more response regarding the definition of a social enterprise. And Alicia says that it is a business that puts the interest of people and planet ahead of shareholder gain. And that is also absolutely correct. It also comes under the definition of a social enterprise. Now that we have seen what a social enterprise is, let us take an example of a social enterprise so that we are able to get a more concrete understanding of it. I'd like to take a very popular example of a social enterprise, and that is Grameen Bank. This was started by Mr. Muhammad Yunus in Bangladesh, and he's also a Nobel Peace Prize recipient. The problem that he identified was that poor Bangladeshis had limited options for securing credit. And the solution that he devised is that he lent $27 from his own pocket to 42 women, which they invested in their own capacity, for example, in sewing machine to generate income and then repay the loan. Gradually, Grameen Bank has grown into a microfinance institution and community development bank. It makes small loans to the impoverished without requiring collateral. Now, as we can see, the problem that Grameen Bank solves here is the problem of providing credit to people who do not have access to it in Bangladesh, and that is solving a social issue. Now that we have seen an example of a social enterprise, we can move on to the process of building it. And I will break down the process in 7 steps. And this is a complete 7-step roadmap, which explains the full process that is involved in building a social enterprise. And the method that I will go about it is that I will, with each step, I will also show you how did I implement each of the steps in case of the enterprise that I built that was stance, so that you're able to get a more concrete understanding and you are confident enough to implement it yourself. So the first step in this process is identifying a problem. Now, this is a very crucial one because once you have chosen a proper problem, you can go on to define an accurate solution for it and then go ahead to implement that solution so that you can create a social impact. But how do you choose a problem? This is the question that we are going to answer here. So you have to look out for a problem in your community. You need to define it, and defining is a very important stage because it gives you a coherent idea of what this problem comprises of. And while you're defining it, you can ask the following questions. Is this problem serious enough to warrant solving? And the reason why you should ask this question is that a lot of times we might face a lot of issues in our day-to-day lives, and many of these are very trivial issues, and they might not even warrant solving. And thus, when you're choosing a problem, you should always ask if this problem is even serious enough to be solved. The second question that you should ask is, who are the customers with this problem? Now, the reason behind asking this question is that it will give you a complete idea of who your target audience are, and this will ensure that your solution is specifically tailored so that it solves their problems. And the last question that you should ask is, will I be able to solve this problem with my skill sets? And if the answer to this question is no, then you should look out to see how you can build those skills so that you can solve that problem. Alternatively, what you can do is that you can choose a specific part of the problem which you think you can solve with your current skill sets. In my case, the problem that I identified was, how can I increase youth participation in civic spaces to improve the quality of democracy? Now we move on to the second stage, which is solution and validation. Think of numerous ideas and filter out the not so great ones so that you're left with a few reasonable solutions. And once you're left with these few reasonable solutions, you have to do extensive research. You should conduct surveys, interviews, talk to experts, etc., and find a solution that best fits the problem. Remember that not every idea is a solution, and to ensure that your solution actually solves the needs of your target audience, it is absolutely essential that you do proper research, including surveys, interviews, and interviews with experts and your target audience as well. The solution that I identified was creating a mobile app that people can use to engage in democratic processes, and it gives them the tools to tackle challenges at an individual level. And there were three reasons why I chose a solution. First of all, access to a mobile phone and in turn to a mobile app was among the majority of people in my target audience, and thus creating a mobile app would be an accessible way of making this thing reach. And the second reason was that while doing research, I found out that people wanted to engage in democratic processes, but more often than not, they cannot find proper resources or proper platforms to do so. There was a lot of information available on the internet, but it was mostly scattered, and there was also a feeling of overwhelm, which prevented people to take any action. And to tackle this, I created this mobile app. And the third reason, and the most important one, through why I created this functionality in the mobile app, is because most often students might even learn about the different democratic and civic processes that are in their community, but they hesitate to take challenges because it seems to them that it is a difficult task and they need elaborate resources to do so. I tackled this issue by providing various resources, tips, and exercises that people can use to tackle the issues that they're facing at a very individual level. Before moving to the third step, I would like to hear from this brilliant audience about what problems do you all want to solve? Because I'm assuming that if you have come to this workshop, then there might be some problem in your mind which you want to solve. And if not, then you might think of it. Now, there are various problems that you can choose from. It can be climate change, it can be increasing access to education, or increasing access to sanitation or clean water. You can put your answers in the chat so that we can read and have a discussion about that. And apart from a problem, if you have also thought of a solution, you can put that as well. Let others hear your ideas so that we can provide you with some feedback. Okay, so we have got one response which says improving access to job opportunities by offering free training courses. Beaches and plastics, and somebody wants to solve problems with SDG, which are related to SDG 13, 14, and 15. Great. Are there any more solutions that you would like to add, or any more problems that you think you want to solve? Okay, so somebody wants to solve the issue of lack of access to sanitation facilities in India. We have another response which says increasing skill sets within the younger generation that would make them professional life ready. That's great. I'm hearing some very great responses from all our brilliant audience members here. Any more solutions or problems that you would like to add? Okay, I think we have received enough responses, and one person also wants to solve the issue of education inequality. After that, somebody wants to solve poverty in their country. Another one is engagement with stakeholders to reduce carbon emissions. Okay, that's related to climate change. Another problem is making sure that girls get treated equally as boys. That's great. Gender equality. Definitely, that is one of the issues that we need to tackle. Another is wildlife protection. Um, okay, somebody wants to make education more interesting and interactive. Okay, somebody wants to improve awareness about physical fitness in sports. That's great. We have heard a lot of brilliant problems and solutions from our audience, and I hope that this workshop will provide you with the tools and resources so that you can improve, so that you can implement your ideas and create social impact. Now we move on to the third step of this roadmap, and that is a testing and prototype and testing phase. So before I tell you what this phase consists of, first of all, I would like to clear out what a prototype is. When you have thought of a particular solution, that is just an idea, but to bring that idea into reality, you create a prototype. Prototype is an early version of your product that contains just the core features. And once you have decided what your solution will be, you should first create a paper prototype and then a digital prototype. In creating a paper prototype, I would like to explain this with the help of an example. For example, if you want to create a website as a solution to a certain problem, then you should go ahead and etch out all the important components of the website that you have thought of on paper. Don't worry if you don't get it right in just one go. You can just create as many templates as you want and see which one fits the best. And once you're satisfied with your paper prototype, you should go ahead and use some digital tools to create a digital prototype. And now for the most important step. You should take this digital prototype with real users and get their feedback, make changes in it, and build the final product. Now, why I say that you should get user feedback at the prototype stage itself? The reason behind this is that users know about their struggles and needs, and to ensure that your product or service, and in short, your enterprise solves their issues, the best way to ensure this is to get their feedback and to implement their feedback in your product. In my case, I created a paper prototype of the app. Then I used a digital tool to build the app with all the screens and functionalities. I discussed it with users and got their feedback and made changes. Um, I'm sorry, did my video go for a second? I am back now.
Yeah, you're off for a bit.
Yeah, so the fourth step is creating a business plan. And you have to choose from one of the business structures. Either you can go with the for-profit model or the non-profit model. In the for-profit model, your enterprise depends on revenue from customers for survival and growth. And in the non-profit model, your enterprise majorly depends on funding and donation to cover the cost of operations. Now, the major question here is, which method should you go with? And I would like to introduce something that would give you more clarity on this issue. If your enterprise is engaged in selling a particular product or service, for example, you have innovated a low-cost water purifier that could give access to clean drinking water to people who do not have access to it, and you will be selling that water purifier at a price, then in that case, a for-profit model would be suitable for your enterprise. But if your enterprise is engaged in community work, such as providing education, then in that case, a non-profit model should be a non-profit model should be more relevant for you. I chose a non-profit structure and I covered a small initial expenses myself, and then I secured funding to improve the outreach and improve the outreach of my enterprise. After this, we go on to the fifth step, which is choosing a marketing medium. And it is all about marketing and outreach, and I would say that this is the most fun step. So before creating a marketing plan, you should choose a marketing medium. It can be social media, it can be in-person marketing, or it can be a combination of both. So which enterprise should choose, why should you choose social media marketing, or why should you choose in-person marketing? If your enterprise has a broad target audience, that your target audience is spread across different cities, different states, or even different countries, then in that case, it would be a bit difficult to reach them in person unless you have a wide range of volunteers and people engaged in your enterprise. But for starters, you can go on social media and create different pages of your enterprise on different social media platforms. And the second method that is available to us is in-person marketing. If your enterprise is more community-based and the audience is located in just a particular city or a particular neighborhood, then in that case, you should go for in-person marketing so that you're able to reach your audience members personally and tell them about your enterprise and promote your enterprise. The next method that is available to us is a combination of both. Now, this is the most optimal way of going with the marketing and outreach campaign because it gives you presence on web as well as you're able to reach your audience personally. So it ensures that you get the best of the both worlds. In my case, my target audience was students from grade 9 to 12 in my city. So I went ahead with in-person marketing and outreach. I did this to ensure that I was able to take my message to these people personally. So I went ahead and contacted educational institutions, schools, and individual students in my city so that I can get them involved in my initiative. Now, the sixth step is securing funding. This is the process by which you secure funds to expand and grow your enterprise. It can be done before the launch of your enterprise, or it can be done after the launch of your enterprise. And there's a lot of difference between these two. And what do I mean by both of these terms? Once you have created a product or service and you have created a proper business plan, then if you're going to pitch this in front of the investors, or you're securing funding through any medium before the launch of your enterprise, then you should go for then this means that you are securing funding before the launch of your enterprise. And if you have already launched your enterprise and you're already creating some impact, and then to expand your impact, to grow your organization, you are securing funding from the investors. In this case, you're securing funding after the launch of your enterprise. Now, you would ask me, what is the most optimal way of securing funding? And I would say that it depends on the type of your enterprise that you're going with. In most cases, if your enterprise contains, or if your enterprise is about selling a particular product, then in that case, it is easier to secure funding before launching your enterprise. But if your enterprise is more service-based, then you can easily secure funding after the launch of your enterprise as compared to securing funding before the launch. There are various ways through which you can secure funding, and these are incubators, impact investors, competitions, crowdfunding, and bootstrapping. Don't worry if you have not understood any of these terms, because we will discuss the funding stage in much greater detail in the later parts of this workshop. And I'll also show you how did I secure funding for my initiative. The seventh step that is there in this process is launching and reiterating. Now, this is the last step of this process. And does this mean that you can rest and have fun? Absolutely not, because the real work starts now. You need to actively market your enterprise to make sure it reaches your target audience. Then when somebody uses your product or service, ask them for feedback, actively analyze that feedback, and make changes in your product. This is really the key to success. The reason why I say this is because I've already emphasized that the customers can give you a lot of useful insights into what was their experience with your product, and you can use their feedback to ensure that your product is up to date, and it actually solves the needs of the customers, and thus ensuring the success of your enterprise. Now we have covered all the steps that were involved in creating an enterprise, and this is what really it is. I'm sure that building a social enterprise was much more intimidating for you at the start of this workshop, but now I hope that you all are confident enough and know the process by now. So I would like to summarize this process. The first one is identifying the problem. The second is finding the solution. Third is about creating a prototype. And fourth is deciding a business plan. Fifth is about creating a marketing plan. And sixth is securing funding. And seventh is launching your enterprise. If you have any questions related to this process or any other part of this workshop, please do put them in the chat box so that we can compile those questions later and we can answer them during the Q&A session. So the biggest question that might be arising in your mind at this point is that I have chalked out the 7-stage process that you need to follow, but I've not told you how to do this or do all of this in a month. Trust me that you can do it. I also did it in a month, and I can assure you that the timeline that I'm going to provide you now will also help you and guide you to complete your project in just a month. So in week 1, you should define the problem and find the solution. Remember to do proper research for your solution to make sure it is effective. In week 2 and 3, you should go for the prototype and testing phase. Now, this might take a little bit extra time than as compared to the other phases, and that is why we have assigned 2 weeks for it. And in this prototype phase, remember to get proper feedback from your users and utilizing that feedback to make changes in your product. In week 4, you can create the business plan and the marketing plan, and then you are ready to launch. As you can see, I've not defined funding and I've not confined funding in any of these weeks. The reason behind this is because funding is based on a lot of external factors, and we cannot really define in which phase will you be able to secure funding. It depends on the type of enterprise that you are starting, and it also depends on the area where you're living in, because a lot of funding options are constrained by geographical boundaries. And you might be able to secure funding in the early stages, or it can be during the very later stages. And it all depends on the funding options that are available at your disposal. Now, one crucial advice that I would like to give before I move on with the next part of this workshop is bend the rules and ditch the timeline. Now, this might seem a bit of counterintuitive because I have described in very much detail the whole step-and-step roadmap, plus I've defined the timeline. And now I'm saying this, that you should set everything aside. The reason behind this is simple. These guidelines and this timeline are here to guide you and not to restrict you in any way. And you should take help of this roadmap and timeline to go ahead and move ahead with the process. But if in case you need to take some decisions which ask you to deviate from these, then go ahead and do that. It's your call, and you should take it according to the situation. Now we are going to answer a crucial question about how to secure funding. This stage might seem a bit intimidating because a lot of us have misconceptions that it is very difficult to secure funding for student-run enterprises. And I can say that it is indeed a bit difficult, but with proper guidance and with proper support, you will definitely be able to do it. And in the next segment, I have chalked out 5 options that are that you can use to secure funding. The first option that is available to us are incubators. Now, what are incubators? These help entrepreneurs solve some of the problems commonly associated with running a startup by providing workspace, funding, mentoring, and training. Now, getting access and getting associated with an incubator can be a bit difficult task because though there are a lot of quality incubators that can provide you a lot of support and funding, but they are also very competitive, and thus it can be a bit difficult to get associated with these incubators. But the upside of this is that getting access to an incubator can be very helpful, and it also increases a lot of credibility of your organization. Some global social startup incubators that are there are Echo in Green, Fledge, Global Social Benefit Incubator, Good Company, and Uncharted. You can visit their websites and see if these incubators are suitable for your enterprise. The second option that is available to us are impact investors. Now, these are individuals or companies who invest in enterprises that create social or environmental value in addition to monetary returns. This method of investment and funding is more suitable for for-profit models, and the reason why I say this is because these investors also look for monetary value and social value, and thus it is only suitable for for-profit models because you do not create revenue and profits in a non-profit model. The second option that is available to us are competitions. Competitions are organized by various academic institutions and organizations and investors. These are the easiest and most popular way for student-run enterprises. Some of the opportunities that are available to us are NFTE World Series of Innovations, Paradigm Challenge, Technovation, Conrad Challenge, and Rise Challenge. Now, these competitions are very prestigious ones, and participating and winning in them can give you access to a lot of mentoring and funding support. And not only are these competitions looking for an idea, but they can help you convert that idea into a real life project. The second option that is available to us is crowdfunding. Now, this is the method of raising funding through the collective efforts of friends, family, customers, and potential investors. It is an ideal method for early stage entrepreneurs that require a small pool of funding. Some of the popular crowdfunding platforms are Kickstarter, Wishberry, Indiegogo, Fuel a Dream, and Fundable. How do these funding platforms work? So in most of these funding platforms, you put your idea on their platform, and the people visiting these platforms can invest in your idea. Either they can invest directly, or they can donate, or they can even purchase early versions of your product. These options are dependent on the type of platform that you're using. The next option that is available to us is bootstrapping. Now, this is a bit different from all the methods that we have discussed so far. And under this, you build an enterprise from the ground up with nothing but small personal savings and cash from early sales. You reinvest the profits from your early sales and then slowly expand and grow. This is suitable for if you're not able to secure funding through other mediums. While this might seem a bit unattractive option, it has its own benefits. Since you are not depending on any outside entity for funding your enterprise, you have all the decision-making power with yourself. And now I would like to tell you, how did I secure funding? I participated in a competition called Rise Challenge, which you can find more about this on the website. And it is a free opportunity for 15 to 17-year-olds. By becoming a finalist, I secured $1,000 funding for my initiative. Winners will receive more funding and mentoring support, and results are yet to be announced. Now, I have chalked out 5 methods that are available to us. And at this stage, you might be wondering which one should you go for. And the answer to this can be that you should really go for that method which suits the type of your enterprise that you're starting. Some of these options are limited to only for-profit enterprises, while some are limited to only non-profit enterprises. It also depends on what funding options have you available at your disposal. Now, before wrapping up this workshop, I would like to give you some key tips that you should always keep in mind throughout the process. And the first one of these is research well. Now, research is the key to taking good decisions, and good decisions in turn, they convert into success of your enterprise. The second step that you should follow is to get proper feedback. At every step of the way, you should connect with your target audience, get their feedback, and make changes in your product according to that feedback. The third key tip that I would like to give is to partner with organizations. Now, the space of social impact can be a bit tough, and you might feel lost at times. And to ensure proper support and to also increase the visibility of your organization, you can partner with other organizations who are working in the same field. And the last tip that I would like to give is to do communication and outreach. Building a good product or service, and for that matter, building a good enterprise is one thing, but increasing visibility of your organization is another. Because in this field of social impact, the more people get to know your enterprise, the more the more is your impact. So it is absolutely essential that you conduct good in-person and social media campaigns so that it can increase the visibility of your organization. Now we have reached the end of this workshop, and if you have any questions from any of the sections of this workshop, it can be related to the process that I chalked out, it can be about the funding methods, or it can be even about my enterprise stance. And you can put your questions in the chat box, and we will be picking up the questions, and I will be very happy to answer them. Please put your questions in the chat box. Thank you.
Thank you, Priyal. So, virtual round of applause for Priyal's presentation. That was very insightful on social entrepreneurship and how that can be a very strong driver of SDGs on a very personal level. That's a very interesting thing I observed. I have a couple of questions, but before we do that, let's go into some questions from our participants. So I can call out your names. I'm seeing some questions on the chat. I'll call out your name. Please feel free to um, unmute yourself and go ahead and ask your question. That'll facilitate better engagement. So let's go ahead with Sadhika first. Sadhika, do you want to go ahead with your question?
Oh, yes, I have a few, but I'll just say one for now. I was just curious, how can one go about creating a team to launch a social enterprise? Because most of the times you lack some skills that others might have, such as if you're having a marketing team, then that can be really helpful. So how can one go about creating a team before deciding to launch one social enterprise?
So on that, you can go about in many ways, but the most preferable one can be that you first develop the idea yourself, and you see what requirements you have in terms of skills that you need and in terms of type of people you need, and then you should ask your friends, or maybe you should ask your network about who would like to work on this idea, and you can specify the different roles that are open in your team, so that people can reach out to you and they can engage in your organization as a team member.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Sadhika, for that question. Let's now move ahead and take a question from, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly, Marian.
Hi, yeah. So I'd just like to know about what the best social media strategies are for improving, I guess, outreach and knowledge about the organization.
If I'm not wrong, you're asking about the different social media strategies that we can use to improve the outreach. Is it correct?
Yeah. Yes.
So if you are going with the social media marketing option, then one thing that you should note beforehand is that there are many platforms, many prominent platforms such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and even LinkedIn. And you should, first of all, you should choose a platform or two, and even more than two platforms which cater to the needs of your enterprise, because different social media platforms have different types of audiences, and one size fits all approach cannot be taken, and thus you have to create different strategies for different platforms. Plus, another good method to increase outreach can be about collaborating with organizations who are working in the same field, and maybe asking them to promote your enterprise on their social media pages, so that it can increase your visibility. I hope that that I have answered the question correctly.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Okay. Let the questions keep on coming, guys. We can take them as we go along. Let's go ahead with another question. I think the next question I see is from Satika again. So Satika, do you want to go ahead?
Yes, thank you. So I was just interested that you created an app. So can you tell us how you went about creating an app? Because I have tried doing that and I would like to learn from your journey.
Yeah. So first of all, I would like to declare that before I started with this initiative of mine, I had no idea of programming whatsoever. So I was a complete beginner, and I think that makes me better eligible to answer your question. And I first wanted to create an app with more formal programming languages such as Java and other programming languages that are there. But then I thought that this could be a more futile, and it can be very time taking, especially when I was doing the idea in the beginning all by myself. So then I used some of the no code app developers, and they can be Thunkable, Adalo, and they can also be other no code app developers that are there in the market. Personally, I built my app with the help of Thunkable, and I was able to learn Thunkable plus create an app in just 2 weeks. So it was a very time-saving approach. And plus, if your app does not have like very complex features, then in that case, you will be able to make most of your functionalities with the help of these no-code app developers.
Okay, thank you for that.
Okay, great. Any more questions? Okay, we have a question from Firdaus, who joins us from Saudi Arabia. Firdaus, go ahead.
Hello all, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay, that's great. Firstly, congratulations to Priya for the wonderful presentation. It was indeed very insightful, and it's very inspiring that you're setting inspiration for the others who are following up to you. The other question, I'm actually an educator, and I usually do struggle with initiatives of how to engage my students and give them the motivation through entrepreneurship education. So at a school level or at high school level, what are the ways educators can promote this for our students?
I think that is one question that even I am exploring, and I have got some useful insights upon that through my research. The one thing that I would like to definitely point out is that using a project-based approach, that is creating teams of students and asking them what project would they like to work upon, and then giving them the support through entrepreneurship education in between the process of building the project is much more useful than just educating people about how this process of entrepreneurship works, because students can get a more hands-on approach, and when they will implement things themselves, first of all, it will be much more interesting for them, and secondly, they will learn a lot more than just listening about entrepreneurship, and it is definitely a better thing to encourage students students to develop their own project and get them and build real world projects so that they can learn much more about entrepreneurship.
Okay, thank you. And I wish you all success going forward as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for those. Let's have another question coming in from the press. So this is Anisha, who joins us from New Zealand. Anisha.
Yeah, hi there. First off, thank you for that amazing presentation. I've learned a lot myself. And the question I had for you was, what are the biggest mistakes that new entrepreneurs can make?
One of the biggest mistakes that the people and new entrepreneurs, especially people who are working on a product and their solution is providing a product, is that they create a robust product from the very beginning before even entering into the market. And what this does is that most of the features in their product are dependent upon what they think the best things would be, and instead what their approach should be is that they should just create the bare minimum and then distribute it among their first customers so that they can get feedback from their customers and then make changes in the product and then slowly and gradually perfect that product and add more features, etc., so that it ensures that your chances of success are manifold increased.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Thank you, Anisha, for the question. And as we've been instructed to end 5 minutes before the start of every next session, I'd like to thank everyone for their participation in this discussion, and thank you, Priyal, for that amazing presentation and that Q&A segment. If you guys would like to connect with Priyal on this further, I think, Priyal, would you want to add in your email address or something like that on the chat?
Yeah, definitely, I would do that. And before I do that, I would love to thank my audience. You all have been a wonderful audience because you all were very interactive, and I also got to learn a lot from you all. On the chat, I'll be adding my email address and my social media page so that you can connect with me there as well. I'm sorry, I think I'm facing some issues with my laptop this way. I think I can. I think the team must be having my Instagram page at this point because I filled up the form for that and I provided them with that.
Yeah, I think yeah, they just added it onto the chat. All right, great.
I think there's some mistake that is a wrong one. I'll just dictate my email ID, and that is priyala24@gmail.com. That is what my email ID is. You can note it down and connect me there. I would love to connect with you all and hear from you about your idea. And for my Instagram page, it is PRIYAL_AGARWALL.
_AGR, right?
Yeah, correct.
Just AGR, or is it your whole?
AGARWAL. I'm sorry.
WAL. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. So you can connect with Priyal on these two platforms. Thank you very much for joining in. And just a reminder, I do not think there is another session for the next hour. Can the admin confirm that, please?
Yeah, there isn't any other session for an hour, but thank you everyone for joining us today, and thank you for this lovely presentation.
Thank you, Reem, and thank you everyone. So I hope to see you all in our sessions from an hour from now. So the next session will be at 11 UTC. One of the highlight presentations in that is the open forums. So please do join in to our open forum on economy, which I will be moderating with a panel of wonderful speakers today. Otherwise, there are a couple of sessions at 11 UTC as well. So feel free to join in those if you've registered. I think the admin has been running around those registration links for quite a while now. So feel free to join in if you're interested, and I'll see you all in another hour in some session. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.